Hello, guys, and welcome back to episode 8 of Posties in DC. I'm your host, Hannah, and unfortunately, we don't have our other host today. We are kind of mixing things up, and while your girl Claire isn't here with us, she's here in spirit and also just doing her producing thing. So today we have our special guest, ZZ, who was on our episode last week, and another member of our cohort, Ian Kirby. Guys, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. A little tired, but
doing all
right. Yeah.
Zach, we kind of got into your internship last week. How's Rails to Trails going?
It's going good. I had to wake up at 6 this morning and take the Silver Line all the way to Reston to go to this retreat thing. I don't really know why, but it was a good time. We were very productive. So I'm a little tired, but the internship's gone pretty well, I would say. So.
And Ian, we haven't gotten into details about your internship. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here in DC.
Yeah, so my name's Ian Kirby. I'm a junior studying information graphics and publication design. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I've been interning with Representative Marcy Kapter in her office. So just doing basic legislative intern stuff, a lot of legislative overview, obviously phone calls. Also been able to do some design and communications work, so getting lunch with the communications director this Thursday, so that'll be fun. Yeah,
awesome.
Looking forward to it. It's been fun so far.
While your internship definitely does sound interesting, we are not going to discuss that this episode. You will be back for another episode. But today we're going to talk about DC sports. Part of the reason why Claire is not here today is because this is the sports episode. I am not going to really contribute much. I can contribute a lot of hockey.
So fair.
And I can contribute subpar football. But today is not about me. It is about our two sports guys over here. So before we get into it, we're going to do our highs and lows real quick. So Ian, what was your high and what was your low of this week?
My high so far is that I got to meet some very cool people in Ilhan Omar's office. Her staffers are really cool. Got to, also walk around the Capitol with them for an event. So, that's been my high so far.
Dope. And what was your low this week?
My low, I don't know. I mean, can't really go into much details, but there was a phone call today that kind of pissed me off, but...
There was a government phone call that pissed you off?
Yeah, it was a constituent.
You get a lot of interesting phone calls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's one that I'll get into when we do my episode that I would love to share.
Some more Capitol Hill tea.
Yeah.
Some
more Capitol Hill tea coming soon. Stay tuned.
ZZ, how's it going with you? What's your high for the week?
You know, my week has been pretty decent so far. For my retreat, breakfast, lunch, and leftovers for dinner were all provided to me today by my boss. So that was very clutch. I'm always thankful when someone provides me food, and I had like a bagel and eggs for breakfast and a pita for lunch and some of the leftover breakfast stuff on my way home on the metro for dinner.
Did you bring any of that home?
What was that?
Did you bring any of that home?
I ate it all. It was not that much.
No
I was going to, but they took other leftovers.
So that's Ian's
Fair
new
enough.
low of the week.
That is Ian's new low of the week.
Yeah, that's
I
my
was
new
going
low.
to, but it was all split up amongst the
Fair enough.
Rails to Trails employees, so my apologies.
No worries.
But,
And your low?
My low is a very specific sports-related topic that none of you would really understand, but it's on par with this episode. Quick tangent. I was watching a baseball game on Saturday night. Ian knows what I'm talking about. It was Astros and Mariners.
Oh,
it was the
yeah,
playoff
Adam Frazier, right?
This game, yes.
I know this tangent.
This game went into 18 innings. It was
brutal.
scoreless through 17.
It was brutal.
All right. And this guy, Adam Frazier, who used to play on the Pirates, Pittsburgh Pirates, he was batting, And, you know, I'm a little nutty when it comes to sports, and I've always liked baseball because I think it's a smart person's game. You'll always have to be thinking about every single thing going on during the game. And game's tied in the bottom of the 17th, and there's a man on second base in scoring position with 2 outs. Adam Frazier's batting, a 2-0 count, and the 2 pitches were nowhere near the strike zone. And this man swings at a pitch that is like shin high for like a shallow fly out. And I was going to lose my mind. I don't like criticizing Major League Baseball players, but for the love of Christ Almighty, make the pitcher throw you a strike. All right? Adam Frazier was like a 300 batter at one point for the Pirates, and he can't make the pitcher throw him a strike in the bottom of the 17th of a playoff game. I don't give
Fair
a
enough.
you know what
Fair enough.
about the Seattle Mariners. It just drives me up the wall. So that was my
Adam
low.
Frazier, you got to do better, man.
It sounds like that's your low of the year.
It's of the school year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't really gotten that worked up in a while about baseball. So yeah, it's definitely up there for the year. So
Hopefully we're not going to get you too more worked up in this episode.
Hopefully not.
I would love it if you and Ian could start fighting, but that's up to y'all.
We'll see.
Quickly get into me before we get into the episode. My high for this week was that I'm really liking my job.
Nice.
Good.
I'm doing a lot.
Yeah.
We're very busy for the center that I work for, that I'm not trying to be sus about, that I just can't mention. They're kind of killing the game right now. I'm really liking it. I like a lot of people in my office. And I've been working from home a lot, which is kind of nice. It's been very relaxing. So that's my high. My low is that I'm still sick. I think very much like when we are in Athens and we get the Athens plague, we're I'm just kind of in and out of sickness.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people back in Athens who are sick right now, so
I don't know what plagues I'm
I like to call it the
getting?
post-homecoming plague. When everyone just
Maybe it's like just the leftover homecoming Athens plague.
It's that the temperatures didn't change too long ago. I think we're all still sort of thrown off, and
yeah,
I don't know if
We're
that
getting
has
through
anything to do with it, but
possibly.
We're getting through it.
Yeah.
But now on to the main event, which is DC sports. And for those of you guys who don't know, just like we mentioned last episode, Zach and I went to high school together.
Damn right.
So we are avid Pittsburgh fans.
Yep.
I feel like Pittsburgh is very much a town where we are prideful in our sports. No matter how bad we're doing, no matter how much we're losing, we are going to stand by the Steelers and the Pirates.
Yes.
I'm crossing the
absolutely.
Pirates because we shouldn't be standing by them.
I'll
But yeah,
stand by the Pirates.
we shouldn't be standing by them. But the Penguins, we've always been able to stand by, and that's like a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
That's always been like a safe bet where like they're going to do well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ian, on the other hand, is from Columbus. So
Yes.
I'm kind of curious how, like, what is it like in Columbus? Like, is it very much like you're prideful in your sports? Is it kind of just like, nah?
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State dominates everything, so it's Ohio State first. But when it comes to pro sports, I mean, they're still prideful. I mean, obviously, we only have the Crew and the Blue Jackets, so there's that, and they're kind of the Crew are sometimes good. The Blue Jackets, they're okay, I guess. They're just in a hard division. So
The Crew are dope. The Blue Jackets are
yeah.
Penguin's little brother.
Right.
Sure. But no, other than that, Browns fan, born and raised. Very painful, but it's a good character builder.
I don't like that we're in the same room together if you're openly calling yourself a Browns fan.
Well, that sucks because we're going to have to go just put up with it.
Right. Okay. So would you say that you're, like, choice of sport is football?
Actually, no. I'm definitely baseball first. I played baseball in high school all 4 years since second grade, so baseball first. Pure entertainment wise, though, I definitely football, basketball, more NCAA basketball than NBA. So yeah, collegiate wise, Ohio State. Mom went to Notre Dame, so Notre Dame too. We're not going to talk about that at all.
No.
No, it's not been good.
It's just a grotesque combo.
Yes, but
Ohio State and Notre Dame.
yeah, it's interesting.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Sure, I bet. Not as bad as Pitt, but we won't go there. But I will say, and kind of to start talking about DC sports too, I kind of see some similarities between the sports culture in Columbus, at least professionally, with DC.
Okay.
It's like, it's not a super big market. It's obviously, I mean, the Commanders are overshadowed by Baltimore. That's not too far away either. Orioles, I mean, are definitely the more prominent team than the Nationals for sure. And Columbus is kind of the same way, where they're overshadowed by Cincinnati and Cleveland. So, I guess another thing too that I've kind of learned about the DC sports culture too is that there's so many people from like other areas of the country that like live here permanently that just like root for their home teams. So like when we were at the Nationals game, like the two that we went to, like there's just like there are as many away fans as there are home fans.
There's the one bar right by the stadium that is literally all South Carolina.
Yeah.
It's like the most random thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a unique sports culture, and it's also kind of a weird time because obviously the Washington Capitals are just starting up, so it'll be interesting to see what that fan base is like. Hopefully we can go to some games and get to experience it a little more, but yeah, definitely interesting.
Absolutely. ZZ, would you say your main MO is baseball?
I would say hockey is, and then baseball.
As it should be.
Yeah. Trying to think. I played hockey since I was in first grade, all the way up through high school, and then baseball. Probably before that, if you're, counting, like T-ball and whatever. But yeah,
We're counting T-ball here.
Yeah, but I mean, those have always been my two main sports that I've played. I've played other sports throughout the years. I mean, as far as me, that's just me being a kid playing whatever. As far as me, in general, I enjoy watching just about anything. I'm sure you guys know by now, I'm sort of a little loony when it comes to the sports.
No.
Not at all. Not at all, ZZ.
But, no, just to go off of what Ian was saying, I think DC is an interesting sports town. I think that obviously growing up watching the Capitals as one of the Penguins' main rivals, we know what they're all about. And as we, watch their season start, it'll be interesting. I think both teams still have some gas left in the tank. The Nationals, it's just weird because it's,
They're so bad.
but it's I think the Nationals have a very dedicated fan base, and I mean it's not like they're disillusioned the way a lot of Pirates fans are. They just won the World Series 3 years ago, and a little more of a contrarian take for me here is that they had Juan Soto, and if you're going to go way into the depths of sports, I mean, I'm sure, you know, Ian Soto's agent, Scott Boras, you know, demands, I need $400 million. And Nationals are like, well, we can't do that. And they had to ship him out. So now they're particularly bad. So it's a very weird dynamic. It was a lot of fun going to the last Nationals game of the season against the Phillies and seeing them boo the crap out of Bryce Harper. That was funny.
Weather could have been nicer, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
what was that like, being at the last Nationals game?
Yeah, it was the weather was crap, so it wasn't that good of a crowd. But it was, you know, it was honestly, people were in higher spirits than I thought they would be. We ran into some other OU alum, like adults. Like we were getting food, and someone saw Ian's shirt or something.
Yeah, like I
we
was
had a
wearing
good
my
time there.
windbreaker, and it was just like this little like standing like food area, and like within like 10 minutes, how many like 3 or 4 alums with their families were like, "Oh, you go to OU? Yeah. Hey, go Bobcats!" It's like. So I got to be with them. I don't think I've met that many OU people in this semester at like that short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So that
which was interesting
dope.
And kind of ties into that there are a lot of people from outside areas that support other fan bases that are there too. It's just kind of, I mean, especially Nats games, there's just something to do. They're not good, so yeah.
Capitals will be a lot different of a vibe.
Definitely.
What do you think, coming from a city like Pittsburgh where we are known, like the Capitals are a known rival of the Penguins, like what is that going to be like, kind of being on the other side for you? Are you going to be able to handle it?
Am I going to be able to handle it?
Yeah.
I'm from the 412. Let me tell you something, all right? We have 3 Stanley Cups.
Right.
We have 2 of the greatest players of this generation. And as many issues as I've had with him over the years, one of the best coaches of this generation.
Absolutely.
And no, I mean, any time the Penguins go into Washington, I fully expect the end result to be, as per usual, fans perched on the stairs outside the portrait gallery across from the arena, all huddled up, chanting, "Let's go Pens," pissing off the Washington fans anytime we win. But no, it'll be a pretty neat experience just seeing it from the other side. And it's you know, the other thing with the Capitals is that they are, I would say they're the only professional team lately in Washington that's been consistent.
Definitely. 100%.
Because the Wizards are weird. They had John Wall, and they still have Bradley Beal.
They have Kyle Kuzma and Porzingis. I mean, they have big names, just
they do.
They still...
But they're not good. And I, you know, the Nationals are, we've touched on them. They're not good right now. I just want to I think it's interesting with the Commanders,
Right?
because we were talking about
this.
We were talking about this last night when we were thinking about this episode.
Oh, the Dan Snyder.
Well, I mean, beyond the more recent, you know, allegations of him being a crook and all of the sexual misconduct and all of the, you know, just running a, you know, bleepity bleep organization.
Yeah. And like every owner in the league like hates him.
They've been so bad for so long that and it's weird because, like, if you look at like the Commanders fan base, like they have a pretty good grip on like Virginia. Like, I can remember being down in Richmond a couple years ago, and they had, you know, that's solid Washington country football wise.
And like,
the Washington greater metro area is such a behemoth that when my dad was growing up, they used to have training camp in Carlisle, PA. They have a pretty broad fan base.
They're a pretty historic one too.
But in Washington, I think people have just it's and I'm not like this, but the way people talk about the Pirates.
Right.
I think people just have lost interest in the Commanders, at least in Washington. Where the hell is their stadium going to be in a couple years? Nobody knows where they're going to build it. When the hell are they going to be good? When is Dan Snyder going to be kicked out of the National Football League? When is that going to happen? The Commanders are really interesting just because of what a joke they are. In my opinion, more so than even the Browns, although that may just be because the past couple years. But still, I just... No, when you go into a Capitals game, that's like they are the brightest point of Washington sports right now.
Definitely.
So it'll be a great environment to go into there compared to, some of the other teams right now. So.
Yeah, and then they also have soccer, but I truly don't know how good they are.
I wanted to go to a soccer game, but their season ended.
Yeah, because the playoffs are just starting.
They have a nice stadium.
Yeah,
that's all I can say about them. Unfortunately, they have a nice stadium, but
right. And kind of touching on that, Zizi, you and I are from a hometown where
yes,
you're gonna root for Pittsburgh. Columbus is different, where you're going out to Cleveland. So, do you think in the area, do we want to mention the Ravens? When you have a situation like the Commanders, are people just going to fly over to the Ravens because it's easier?
I think it's interesting to bring that up because I think that it's probably not necessarily true. But if you're going to look at it in a more in-depth standpoint as far as TV markets and just in just sports culture and stuff like that, the Ravens definitely outshine the Commanders.
I think now. Yeah, I agree, at least now. But the Commanders are a pretty historic franchise. They've been around for a while, haven't they?
No, yeah, they absolutely have. Been.
Same with
But I think there's probably a pretty clear divide between Virginia and Maryland, at least to me. I think that people look at the Commanders and ask why the hell their stadium is in Landover, Maryland. It's all the same area, but it's still just sort of... I think the Ravens, to an extent, are... I've definitely met people that are closer to DC that grew up Ravens fans. I think that, it's also interesting, the Orioles are right there. And not including traffic, Baltimore is probably a 35, 40-minute drive or something like that. So they're right there. And it's interesting to think about. It's not quite the same as having two teams in one city, but it's the same general market. It's dope because you get to have, for me, I would love it if I had been born in this area because it would just be more sports for me to consume on and obsess over and lose my mind over, and I would love it.
And kind of going off that, like you said, Maryland's or Baltimore's only 35 minutes away. But when I'm in Columbus, if I drive 35 minutes, in Ohio State gear or Columbus gear, I'm fine, but when I went to my aunt and uncles who live 30 minutes outside of Baltimore, I went with my Nationals hat and they were You need to wear an Orioles hat around here.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, we didn't drive that far. Like,
Yeah.
So it's just kind of an interesting dynamic that there are a lot of teams in the area that kind of that are just so close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's definitely interesting.
Yeah. So being here for about 2 months, we're halfway through our semester, guys.
That's insane. That's crazy. Yeah.
Oh man, I have work to catch up on my internship. Oh god.
Being here for 2 months, immersing yourself in the sports culture, especially for you, Zizi, saying that like you would really appreciate like the variety of sports here, and same for you, Ian. What has it been like? You talked a little bit about like the city pride, but like what is it like now, kind of like immersing yourself in a sports culture, especially in a city where like I feel like it's not known for sports.
Yeah.
You're not going to think of DC in sports.
No. And it's like weird because like back home, like wherever you go, I feel like that's like sports are so vital to like this like Columbus culture, like with Ohio State, Clippers, Blue Jackets crew, like and I don't know if it's just because there's not really much else to do. But like even like at work, like people aren't really talking about like the pro sports at work. It's usually their own college or like, oh, like Maryland football just beat Rutgers or whatever. So it's more like that, and people just aren't like sports aren't their thing. Like other maybe hockey, but that's yet to be seen because the season just started. So it'll be. And again, we haven't even touched on Georgetown basketball. I want to go to a game for that.
So I think it's interesting that, and I don't know if it's just because of like the neighborhood, the area that we live in, or if it's because Washington just has so many just like young people and like, like intern type kids, whatever, that you see so many different groups of people from different schools.
Definitely.
Like I saw a whole group of kids in Michigan State gear the other day. We've seen the South Carolina people
that was crazy.
over by the
That was
Nationals
crazy.
Stadium. Union Pub. There's always a bunch of games going on there, and Saturday afternoon whenever I walk by there. So I think it's interesting to think about how Washington, when you think of Washington, you're not necessarily immediately going to think about, the sports teams. You're going to think about politics. You're going to think about media. You're going to think about history. Exactly.
Yeah, the monuments.
I think that, Pittsburgh has always had this image of a tough town, steel industry or whatever. You think of the Steelers. You think of being gritty. I think Cleveland is the same way to an extent. I think that, I don't know about the professional teams. I think that there's been times like I can think about people making documentaries about Georgetown basketball in the 80s. My dad went to Pitt in the 80s, and so, Big East basketball was huge. And back then, I think people sort of more closely associated, Georgetown basketball, Patrick Ewing, John Thompson, to, sort of this, this tough city that was, going through a lot at the time. You can, you can get really, really into like the politics and the socioeconomics of it all. I'm not going to right now, but I just like there's certain aspects of DC that I think Georgetown basketball at various points in time have been like that's they represent the city and the best of the city. And I think that it's hard when the Commanders are kind of laughingstock, and the Nationals have gone through just such a bizarre period of time where they somehow managed to win the World Series, to somehow manage to completely fall off, that it's interesting to think about, like what do you think of this city from a sports standpoint? Washington's trickier to answer than Pittsburgh or anywhere in Ohio from an Ohio State standpoint. So that was really interesting, unique experience, just kind of immersing ourselves, I think. So,
Ian, do you have anything to kind of add up on that?
Trying to think what I could add. I don't know. I think it was really interesting coming here in the post the Juan Soto Josh Bell trade.
yeah.
It was really funny going into the team store and seeing all the
Soto and Bell
all
shirts,
the,
even though they were
for like a $200 jersey selling for $100.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny to see.
I thought that was funny. I bought a Ryan Zimmerman t-shirt because I thought it'd be funny. And the other thing I just want to add about just like immersing ourselves into the city's sports culture,
Right.
and whatever. As far as sports fandom goes with me, I personally am very anti bandwagoning. I just think that I'm too, Pittsburgh straight to the heart, straight to the blood. You can't take the Pittsburgh out of me. I think though that there are times when you can appreciate the team. I used to go to Toronto a lot for. Me and my sisters played hockey growing up, so we've been all over southern Ontario, and that was when the Raptors were like in the playoffs a lot, and we would be there during that, and that was really cool. It was easier because Pittsburgh doesn't have a basketball team, and the Nationals, like, I don't like rooting for other teams, but the fans that they have, they really. They care.
Yeah.
It was a crappy day when we went to the last home game. It was like 50 and raining. And
it was definitely colder than that.
Yeah,
that was the coldest day, worst weather we've had here.
It was bad, and the metro was packed over by, once we got on the whatever line, the gallery place or wherever to get down to Navy Yard, it was packed. And I mean, the people here, they care about the Nationals and the Capitals. They care about Georgetown basketball. Some of the other schools around here, even if they're smaller, they have a really unique, interesting history with their, basketball teams and whatever. So no, I mean, it's definitely it's not a place that you would think of initially, but it is a neat place to immerse yourself from a sports culture standpoint.
Definitely.
So. Right. Okay, and we're going to touch into this because the whole concept of bandwagoning will rattle people to the core. So being new in DC and kind of immersing yourself in other sports, where is the line of bandwagoning?
See,
where is that line crossed?
I want Ian to go first.
Yeah, okay. So I come from a unique standpoint because I have fallen in love with the Los Angeles Dodgers because my favorite player growing up and now is Clayton Kershaw. Mm-hmm. So just watching him, I just kind of gradually started watching the Dodgers more than the Guardians or the Reds. So I definitely at least see myself now as more of a Dodgers fan than a Guardian. Like, obviously, like, I'm in Ohio and, like, I'll always root for those two teams, but I mean, I don't know. Like, if you want to call me a bandwagon for that, sure. But like, my friends make fun of me for it, but I still think that just having that long term like personal connection and like appreciation for Clayton Kershaw, like I don't really consider myself like a bandwagoner. Like
You're a bandwagon.
You're a
bandwagon.
Call him out.
You root for the team because you randomly decided you liked this one player that didn't have any connection to you.
I'm a left-handed. I'm left-handed. That's why.
Shut up! Oh my god! I'm left-handed. What kind of reason is that to root for an entire team?
He was the best left-handed. He's one of the best left-handed pitchers to ever do it.
Yeah, and I respect the hell out of him, but it doesn't mean I want them to win the World Series.
We're at odds there.
So I will say this about the Dodgers. My grandfather is from Harrisburg, and when you get into cities like that, it's a little more up for grabs.
Yeah.
It's not like being from Pittsburgh or...
You're going to root for Pittsburgh, but when you're in a middle ground state like
Pennsylvania... Ohio,
Phillies
you have Ohio State.
And Pirates,
but
you get that line.
But my grandfather, growing up, rooted for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and so he stuck with them. And so I've always respected the Dodgers. Always respected Clayton Kershaw. I root for the Dodgers to beat the Houston Astros because the Astros cheated. But to be like your favorite team is the LA Dodgers, even though you're from Columbus, Ohio, because Clayton Kershaw is a
there
left-handed
are worse
pitcher,
bandwagoners
and
out
you
there.
are also a left-handed baseball player.
There are people who like teams for way worse reasons, so I don't want to hear it.
I will make you hear it. It's not a valid reason.
I'm not going to listen, though. It
You
is a
two
valid
have to
reason.
share a room after this. I wouldn't want to be there.
I don't know, man. I'm a little too stubborn in my I treat Pittsburgh like it's the mecca of sports, even when all three of our teams are like at a 500 level, just because I'm a little bit of a nut job, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty. I would consider myself a hardliner against bandwagoning, and like I said, I thought it was neat being able to see the Raptors in the playoffs whenever I was up in Toronto. And it's different because, Pittsburgh doesn't have a basketball team. And I will say with Columbus, it's not as, like, set in stone.
Definitely.
Because there's not an MLB team
We
in
do have the
Columbus.
Clippers, though, which are...
But it's not reasonable to be like, you have the Guardians and the Reds, and you're gonna, hop on over to the West Coast and be like, I'm a Dodgers fan. Like, what the hell is that? I'm just giving you a hard time by this point.
Do you think whenever you're from a city that doesn't have a specific sports team, it is up for fair grabs? So if you're from Pittsburgh, we don't have a professional basketball team. Do you think that's up for fair grabs?
I mean, yeah, because it's like, that's like the one gray line. I mean, you would say it's up for grabs, right, Ian?
Yeah, because like it's Western PA, so I feel like in some instances people could go Cavs, but like
you can just be like, I'm rooting for the closest team.
Yeah, which could
That's
be
the way you
Cleveland. That
go
could be
about it.
like Philly.
So it could be the Sixers or the Cavs.
And then that's just up to personal discretion.
My dad liked the Celtics growing up, so it's just sort of it's up for grabs. But yeah, and I mean, I'm sure it's like this in college, but at Mount Lebanon High School,
Oh gosh.
I hate the fact that I'm bringing this up. I don't want to talk about high school,
Let's
but
talk.
we're
brought it
talking
up.
about sports and we're talking about basketball, and I feel like I just need to bring up
Are you gonna bring it up?
the competition that we had to try and find the best throwback basketball vintage jersey.
Really?
Yes.
This was like known across our high school.
Yeah.
Like you're like the high school basketball team or the vintage?
No.
No,
Like,
this was just
like, I have a White Allen Iverson jersey,
Oh.
a Dikembe Mutombo jersey with the rainbow
yeah.
across, and I have a Reggie Lewis Celtics jersey.
That's sick.
I know.
That's sick.
It's pretty dope. And I'm trying to think.
These guys like competed. This was
It was insane. It was weird. It was some serious.
Yeah. This is like the girl equivalent of like who has.
It was some
Lululemon at our
serious
high school.
white guy,
some
rich
yeah.
school type crap.
Oh, yeah.
It was bizarre, and it was yeah, and it was basically like preparing us for fest season at OU, pretty much.
Well,
Was
yeah.
what it was.
Oh,
Well,
you would wear a white Iverson jersey for fest season.
What was that?
You
For fest season, I don't know if I would wear the White Allen Iverson.
For pictures, yeah. You gotta show that bad boy off. You're not
I mean,
chugging
a
beer in
vintage white Allen Iverson?
No, I mean,
I'm not ruining
For the
it.
photos.
there are
I'm not
other
ruining it.
jerseys I would wear
Yeah.
before the White Allen Iverson jersey for fest season. The White Allen Iverson jersey has a very special place in my heart. My nickname, my freshman year of high school, in fact, happened to be White Iverson. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Nora Kogan and Alyssa Caper gave me the nickname White Iverson. And we had old 2v2 basketball tournament with like all the guys that were like the baseball guys I was friends
Right.
with, and I would wear that and ball out, and I still own that jersey. I am a throwback jersey connoisseur, you could say. I mostly stick to Pittsburgh. Unless if it's some vintage team that doesn't exist anymore, I'm going to stick to Pittsburgh.
Right.
When it comes to basketball, it's up for grabs.
Definitely.
It's all bets are off the table.
To get down from this argument and to hopefully bring peace to the room later. Are there any final thoughts about what you're looking forward to in the sports culture of DC, or honestly just the rest of our time here since we're already halfway through?
As a Blue Jackets fan, I am so looking forward to when it's November 9th
Didn't
at
Patrick Laine
7:30.
just get hurt?
Yeah, but we're not
Yeah.
gonna go there.
Okay.
November 9th at 7:30. I'm so looking forward to the Capitals destroying the Penguins on behalf of the Blue Jackets.
You can get
So
out
you're
of here.
bandwagoning. Is what you're doing.
In my hatred of Pittsburgh, then yeah, I am bandwagoning.
Whatever.
There's no help in this situation.
What was that?
There's no help in this situation.
What am I looking forward to? I want to get to a Georgetown basketball game.
We'll go.
They
They play Xavier while we're here. I was looking.
here?
Yeah.
That'll be a good game. I mean, the tickets will be expensive. We'll have to try and go. I'm looking forward to, Pens at Caps. If there's any other Capitals games, I love a good hockey game. I am normally exhausted and burnt out by the end of the week, so I spend my weekends mostly just watching football, and that's a good time.
Yeah, and we can really only watch Commanders and Ravens mostly, so
Yeah, and
it's not fun, but
Yeah.
we sit through it.
yeah, I mean, the Commanders are just such a. I sincerely wonder, like, what's going to happen. Like, are the owners going to kick Dan Snyder out of the league? One can only hope.
Definitely.
The Ravens are, you know, I have family in Baltimore, and so there's, you know, not that I respect the Ravens, obviously, but, you know, it's not like there's as, like, pure of a hatred for them as, like, the Browns and
Right.
the Bengals, you know, so,
Yeah.
you know, that, I mean, and that's just my personal preference, but, no, it'll be good to see how sports go down for the rest of the season, and yeah, it'll be interesting.
It'll be fun.
Yeah,
That will be fun.
And I feel like we're coming in at a great time too, because I feel like summer you don't have caps, so
we have to get to Wizards game too.
yeah.
I forgot about Porzingis. He sort of dropped off, but no, it'll be
Yeah,
dope.
we
It'll
should-
be dope.
Yeah, it would be fun to do a follow-up
Yeah.
episode at the end. But
No,
we'll
would
see.
be. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening to episode 8 of Posties in DC. Thank you so much, CZ and Ian, for coming on. We really appreciate it. To keep up with not only our internships, but with Ian's in a later episode, please keep tuning in and keep up with the Post Athens on all social media. Thank you so much for having us, and see you guys next week.
Thank you.
See ya.